Welcome back to Old Coin Empire. Before you spend another coin, stop and take a closer look. What if an ordinary 1980 or 1981 2 new pence hiding in your pocket was actually worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? It sounds impossible, but a few rare varieties and mint errors have turned everyday coins into collector treasures. In today's video, you'll discover what makes these British coins so special, the hidden details that most people never notice, and why collectors search for them every single day. Don't spend another penny until you watch this entire video, because your next hidden treasure could already be in your hand. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a small copper-colored coin, and thinking it's worth only a couple of pennies. You toss it into a jar, leave it in your car, or spend it without a second thought. But what if that ordinary-looking coin was quietly hiding a story that collectors have been chasing for decades? What if one tiny detail could turn a common coin into something every serious collector wants to own? Today's journey begins with the 1980 British 2 new pence. At first glance, it doesn't seem special. Millions were struck, and they circulated across the United Kingdom for years. Because so many people remember seeing them every day, most assume they're all common and almost worthless. That's exactly why this coin is so interesting. Hidden among millions of ordinary examples are a handful that have surprised collectors with unusual mint errors, exceptional condition, and unexpected auction prices. Most people never notice these differences. They spend the coin long before realizing what they had. The year was 1980. Britain was entering a new decade, and decimal coinage had become part of everyday life. The bronze 2 new pence was one of the workhorses of the country's economy. It passed through grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, vending machines, and millions of hands every single day. Every scratch on these coins tells a story. Every mark represents another journey through someone's life. But here's where the mystery begins. When the Royal Mint produces hundreds of millions of coins, perfection isn't always possible. Machines operate at incredible speed. Dies wear down. Tiny mistakes happen. Most are caught before the coins leave the mint, but every now and then, a few escape into circulation. Those escaped coins become legends. Now, before you get too excited, it's important to understand something. Most 1982 new pence coins are still worth only face value. That's the truth. But collectors aren't searching for ordinary examples. They're hunting for the unusual ones, the coins with details that separate them from the crowd. The first thing experienced collectors examine is the overall condition. Has the coin kept its original reddish-bronze color? Does it still have its original mint luster? Are the tiny beads around the edge complete and sharp? Can you clearly see every strand of Queen Elizabeth II hair? These details matter far more than many beginners realize. A coin that spent decades in circulation may only be worth a few cents. But another coin from the same year, preserved in almost perfect condition, could sell for many times its face value simply because so few survived untouched. That surprises many new collectors. Now let's talk about something even more exciting. Mint errors. These are the discoveries that make people look through jars of old coins late into the night. One of the most collectible possibilities is an off-center strike. Imagine the blank coin shifting slightly as it is struck. Part of the design is missing, while another part appears pushed toward the edge. Depending on how dramatic the error is, collectors often pay a strong premium. Another possibility is a die crack. After striking thousands upon thousands of coins, the steel die begins to weaken. Tiny cracks can develop, leaving raised lines across the finished coin. Some are small enough to miss without careful inspection. Others are bold enough to become major collector favorites. Then there's the fascinating world of double strikes. Instead of receiving one clean strike, the coin is struck again, leaving overlapping designs that instantly catch the eye. Genuine double-struck coins are scarce and always attract attention when authenticated. Collectors also search for die clashes. This happens when the dies strike each other without a coin between them, transferring faint design elements where they shouldn't appear. These unusual markings create an exciting puzzle that experienced collectors love to study. Another feature worth checking is the rim. If the rim looks unusually broad on one side or unusually narrow on another, it could point to a striking issue during production. Most people overlook these details completely. Collectors never do. Now imagine finding one of these unusual pieces while sorting through an old coin collection inherited from a grandparent. That's exactly how many valuable discoveries begin. The owner has no idea the coin is different until someone with experience notices something unusual. Stories like these continue to inspire collectors around the world. Auction records show that exceptional error coins and superb condition examples can sell for hundreds of dollars, and in some cases even more, depending on rarity, certification, and demand. While ordinary 1980 coins remain common, extraordinary examples are a completely different story. That's why grading also plays such an important role. Professional grading services carefully inspect each coin, confirming authenticity while assigning a condition grade. Higher grades often mean significantly higher values because collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. Now here's a question for you. Have you actually looked closely at every 1982 new Pence you've ever owned? Or did you simply assume they were all the same? That assumption has caused countless interesting coins to disappear back into circulation. The next time you find one, don't rush. Hold it under a bright light. Rotate it slowly. Look for unusual lettering. Check the date carefully. Inspect the rim. Search for doubling. Look for cracks. Compare both sides with normal examples. Sometimes the smallest detail tells the biggest story. Collectors know that treasure hunting isn't always about finding gold or silver. Sometimes it's about finding the one coin everyone else ignored. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. Every handful of change becomes a mystery waiting to be solved. Every old coin jar becomes a possible treasure chest. And every ordinary-looking coin deserves one more careful look before it's spent. But our story isn't over yet. Because if you think the 1982 new Pence is interesting, wait until you discover what happened with the 1981 new Pence. That year brought its own fascinating story, and one small detail has kept collectors talking ever since. In the next part, you'll discover why the 1981 issue continues to attract attention, what collectors search for first, and which hidden varieties can make people stop and look twice before spending another coin. But now the story takes an even more interesting turn. Imagine pulling a nearly identical coin from your pocket, only to learn that collectors inspect this date even more carefully. Why? Because the 1981 new Pence sits at the edge of one of the most famous stories in modern British coin collecting. Most people see an ordinary bronze coin. Collectors see possibility. And that's exactly what makes this coin so fascinating. In 1981, millions of new Pence coins entered circulation across the United Kingdom. They bought newspapers, bus tickets, groceries, and cups of tea. Day after day, they passed through countless hands, becoming just another part of everyday life. But years later, collectors began paying much closer attention to these coins. Not because every 1981 coin is rare, because knowing the details could help identify something much more valuable. At first glance, your 1981 coin probably looks just like every other new Pence you've seen. On the front is Queen Elizabeth II, while the reverse features the Prince of Wales feathers above the large number 2 with the words New Pence. That wording is completely normal for 1981, and that's where many people get confused. A lot of new collectors hear stories about valuable new Pence coins and assume every coin with those words must be worth a fortune. That's simply not true. The famous rarity is actually the 1983 new Pence error, where a small number of coins were mistakenly struck with the older wording after the design had officially changed to 2 pence. That mistake turned into one of Britain's best-known modern coin errors. Because of that famous error, many collectors carefully inspect 1981 coins as well, making sure they understand the transition before looking for later rarities. But don't lose interest just because your 1981 coin has the correct design. There are still plenty of reasons to examine it closely. The first thing experienced collectors notice is condition. Has the coin kept its original bright reddish bronze color? Does it still shine with mint luster? Are the smallest details sharp and untouched? Finding a 40-year-old coin in exceptional condition is much harder than most people think. Many spend decades moving through cash registers, vending machines, and wallets before ending up forgotten in jars or drawers. Every scratch reduces a number of premium quality examples. That's why certified high-grade 1981 coins can attract strong collector interest. Now, let's talk about mint errors. Every collector dreams of finding one. Imagine discovering an off-center strike, where part of the design is missing, or a broad strike that left the coin without a properly formed rim. What about a dramatic die crack running across the design? Each one tells a story of a tiny mistake inside the royal mint. Sometimes collectors even find coins showing double lettering, die chips, or other striking abnormalities. While most errors are minor, the dramatic ones can command impressive prices because they are far scarcer than ordinary circulation coins. Auction history has shown that authenticated error coins often sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on the type of error, condition, rarity, and collector demand. That's why experts recommend checking every coin instead of assuming it's common. The exciting part is that valuable discoveries don't always happen inside museums. Sometimes they happen at a kitchen table. Someone empties an old coin jar. A grandparent passes down a collection. A forgotten box in the attic is finally opened. And sitting quietly among ordinary coins is one piece that turns out to be something special. Stories like that continue to fuel the hobby. Collectors love the thrill of discovering hidden treasure where nobody else thought to look. That's what makes coin hunting so addictive. Every coin carries a question. Is this just another common piece? Or is it the one everyone else missed? If you own a 1981 two new Pence, don't rush to spend it. Take a magnifying glass. Examine the lettering. Study the rim. Look for unusual doubling. Inspect both sides under bright light. Compare it with another example. Tiny differences can make all the difference. Even if your coin turns out to be a normal circulation piece, you've learned something many people never know. You've trained your eye to notice details. And that's exactly how successful collectors begin. They don't start with expensive coins. They start by paying attention. Because one careful inspection today could lead to an incredible discovery tomorrow. Maybe your next handful of change contains nothing unusual. Or maybe it's hiding the coin every collector hopes to find. That's the mystery that keeps this hobby alive. And that's why millions of collectors around the world never stop checking their pocket change. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe Old Coin Empire because your next hidden treasure might already be sitting in your pocket, waiting for you to notice it.